Getting to China means crossing more than mere oceans and time zones. It's another world culturally, linguistically, and ideologically. On arrival in the hubbub of Beijing, you will soon realize that you're at the center of the world's oldest civilization. Whilst things might be changing, this is still a country of traditions with which the traveller is only now getting to grips. Considering that every fourth child born into the world is Chinese, it will not be long before you're surrounded by curious onlookers that comprise part of China's billion inhabitants, speaking no less than 150 languages and dialects. Everything seems vast. For more than 500 years, the emperors ruled these palaces, pavilions and courtyards off limits. That was until the end of imperial rule in 1911. These surroundings are furnished with crafted Chinese bronze and ceramics. Here, the applications of traditional methods mean the continuing inheritance of many aspects of the Chinese way of life. You'll find more bikes here than you've seen in your whole life. The Forbidden City is as much a Chinese tourist attraction for the Chinese as it is for us an ideal starting point to a journey that will take us into Manchuria and the seldom explored northeastern parts of China. One legacy of those great traditions, alive in more ways than one, is the steam locomotive, product of a Chinese industrial revolution that continues to this day. Interestingly too, a product still being developed and perfected to cope with millions of freight operations over the Chinese sprawling rail network. In other parts of the world, steam has been abandoned in favour of liquid or electric power, and the steam locomotive no longer reigns supreme. Vast coal resources and the availability of cheap labour mean that steam will be safe here for years to come, and this programme will explore both rare and popular classes from Liaoning to Heilongjiang provinces. We start at Harbin, catching sight of locos and trains preparing for the long haul up Wongang Bank to the south of the city. In the background, marshalling yards help harness wagons up to trains of 3,000 plus tons. Double and occasionally triple-headed trains breathe the fiery spit of dragons in anticipation of being let out onto the steel racetracks out of town. The dreaded diesel may seem to haunt this scene, but a 1985-built locomotive carries a headboard showing its adoption by the young Communist Party. Harbin shed is where the beast can best be observed at close quarters. The temperature is well below freezing, and the continual spewing of steam and water around the shed requires the attention of manual labour in its clearance. The air is choked with the sulphurous emissions of numerous QJ-class locomotives. Preparation and maintenance continues 24 hours a day, as locos come in and out. Coal, water, oil and sand, all needed to keep these much decorated beasts aglow and on the move. And so to Wongang Bank, and a chance to see locomotives tackling a grade of approximately 1 in 80 with long freight and passenger rosters. Most workings power assisted with a banker, seen here working back light to Harbin. We take to even colder conditions, for from October through to March, temperatures at Nan Char won't rise above freezing. It's an icy and seemingly unwelcome landscape, ensuring, though, the most dramatic of steam effects for the handful of enthusiasts who penetrate this area, some 200 miles from the Soviet border. Keeping warm might include exercise in helping the locals move their loads of timber and hay across nearby railway crossings, whilst gathering faces look on in great curiosity. Here, as nearly throughout all of China, the box-pocked wheeled QJ class adorns the local shed. This JS class, successor to the JF, was still in production in the 1980s. On lines to the north of Nanchar, as far north incidentally as we will go, some variety can be found. For example, on the branch to Wuyiling, there are spectacular sweeping gradients encompassing action from double-header and banker-assisted trains. QJs, JSs, all in evidence in 1987 on the branch, with occasional RMs on the main line. Uncommon to Chinese railway practice too, the occasional back-to-back loco operation. If it's the rare beasts you've come to see, then turn your attention to the Pacifics, particularly the RM class 462s. They're a part of steam evolution fast disappearing, certainly the dinosaurs of China's steam sea. And while steam-hauled passenger trains are themselves becoming rare, RM-class passengers out of anywhere make the whole expedition worthwhile. The fascination of China's steam railways is that they're a chance to witness unmuseumed trains hauled by steam locomotives doing the job they were designed for, the grit, spit and fire of a working railway. The forests of Manchuria, north of Harbin, are the source of traditional timber trades. The timber areas around Langxiang are crisscrossed by some estimated 500 miles of 600mm narrow gauge railway lines, all steam worked by a standard design. Much of the system is still unexplored, though with the willingness of the local authorities to provide special trains and access, it won't be long before cameras and notebooks reach the outer limits of the system. For the present time, visiting faces raise the attention of local people in the intense cold. These 080 locos comprise of types from a mixture of origins, and there are Soviet, Polish, Czech and Finnish makes. The narrow gauge loco works maintains locos for the forest narrow gauge systems. They build 10 new locos and service many more each year. £6,500 could secure you a brand new, ready-to-drive locomotive at Harbin's famous steam locomotive workshops. A further location at Tae Li reveals more narrow gauge locos from a fleet whose total numbers have not yet been determined. Back on the main line, there are other attractions too. 462's RM's in action. The occasional industrial discoveries included this JF with Giesel-type ejector. The QJ, with certain Russian design characteristics, is China's most modern steam locomotive. The class sees service on both heavy freight and passenger services today, taking over the services previously allocated to the SL Pacific class. 1985 and 1986 makers' plates for these 220-ton powerhouses were observed during this visit in 1986. Some 4,000 and more of the class have been built since construction first commenced, with prototypes from Dalian in 1956. Occasionally, there are opportunities for the enthusiast to experience shed scenes that can be found nowhere else in the world. This is Sui Ha.
Oh, no, sorry.
One of the most evocative of shed locations to see steam in is Changchun Shed. Changchun is a kind of crossroads in the rail system of northeast China, a crew junction if you like. A place where steam and vapour do battle with cold of such intensity that leaves working locomotives bedecked with blades of ice. This Chinese-built JF, number 2422, has been shortened for ease of use as a depot pilot at Changchun Shed. Out on the main line, freight is the main steam-headed load.